Welcome to Art Appreciation. I'm Associate Professor John Brazil. To Art 1301, Art Appreciation. Everything you wanted to know about art, but were afraid to ask. So, what is this class about? It's a three-letter word, art. Who makes art? What is art? Why do we need art? Where is art? How do we use art? So along the way, we'll kind of come up with definition on some of this. Some of you might already have a pretty good idea about art. You have pre-existing knowledge of art. Beware, I get pretty philosophical on things. Start going down all these little different avenues and rabbit holes. Some of the times, I just kind of go off on this whole other tangent, but at the same time, try to bring it all around so that you see how all this stuff is sort of intertwined and connected. That looking at art, the world of art, art is really sort of the world around us. We'll save that discussion. So for argument's sake, I like to pick on Mona Lisa. Why Mona Lisa? What makes her so popular? Why are we so captivated about her? What is it about her? Is it because Leonardo painted her? Is it just because the high Renaissance? Some people decided that this is kind of the greatest work ever, and anything after this was just eye garbage, visual garbage. We don't need it. So whatever your take may be on Lady Lisa, so I kind of like picking on her just because of the famousness of her. And so, art. What is art? What's it do? What's going on there? Enhances our daily experiences. Getting philosophical. Thankfully, the whole class won't be on the big philosophical debate, but when you step back and look at all the things that are influenced or that have sort of this relationship with art, not just drawings and paintings and photographs and sculptures, but we'll talk about architecture, fabrics, ceramics, woodworking, all these different things that we come in contact with that we deal with, from the house or apartment you live in to the car that you drive, industrial design, the clothes you wear, fashion design, your cell phone, again, industrial design, the school buildings on the campus, the house, the roadways, the parking garage, that's all architecture and engineering, all coming from art. So really, it touches everyone. It's all around us. Everything, in a way, is art. But then, we'll maybe try to discuss what is good art. That is one of my favorite questions to ask, simply because having the discussion on is it good, is it bad, why is the artist doing what they're doing, discussing some of the pieces, that's really where we can learn a whole lot more about it, because we can start thinking about all the different avenues and the different ways to look at a piece. So how do we define art? Just kind of some of the stuff I went over. How do we define it? What's good art? What's bad art? Where do we see this art? Why do we use art? do we need art? Do we really need art? Um, That's it. If you look at the big picture and everything that's sort of connected and all the, everything being interwoven, all these little multifaceted avenues to take from this simple three-letter word, that yes, it has a gigantic impact on us. Um, and then, who are artists? What defines an artist? What do artists do? They make art. What kind of art are they making? Why are they making it? What sort of background do they have? Things that we'll look at. Are they classically trained? Do they have this academic background? Are they a self-taught artist? Is there a difference? Is one better than the other? So, sort of a working meaning of art, the ability to come up with this idea and apply that idea to a process. Let's take this idea of a lady with her hands. Maybe they're on a pregnant stomach, maybe not, with kind of fancy mountains and streams and running water in the background. That's my idea. How am I going to manifest this into a piece? What am I going to do to get this idea out of my head and on paper or on canvas? Or how am I going to mold this into a 3D piece? So the process, making your idea from the idea to a physical manifestation, the final product. So that's kind of, part of the idea of what goes into understanding art. So, will we all agree that the Mona Lisa is a great piece? Probably not. Some of you might look at it and say, yeah, I really like Leonardo. Some of you might look at it and say, yeah, it's okay. I mean, I'll give the guy credit where he did the effort and all that, A for effort, Or same time, you just say, I'm done with the Mona Lisa. I'm sick of looking at her. It's so worn out. I can't say that's art anymore. That's just, let's move on to something else. Art, is it going to be beautiful? What is beautiful? Again, the philosophical debate. What is beautiful to me is not beautiful to you. What's beautiful to you might not be beautiful to me. So when we start looking at all these different cultures and all these different methods of image making, it's not always going to be beautiful. Sometimes just because it's strange and different to us, because we are a Western civilization, and we're sort of have been trained on this idea of what beauty is. But when we start looking at non-Western cultures and non-Western ideas, all this sort of foreign stuff to it, it's like, is that really beautiful? I don't know if it is. Or you might decide, my God, that is beautiful. Why have I not ever seen this? Why have I not been exposed to this? This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Where the person next to you might look at it and think, no, that's garbage. And so back to the first one, there's no agreed upon definition of art. And then why do artists create what they do? Any number of reasons. It could be thought-provoking and meaningful, or as I like to say, it could just be a fart joke even. I mean, it's a joke. I'm making a joke. This is not supposed to be serious. It's not supposed to be anything profound. It's a joke. Art's a joke. Or, opposite that, I had this experience. I want to share this experience. I want to give you this visual representation of this experience that I had or someone else had. And I really want it to speak to you, pouring my heart and soul out onto the canvas. So just all the different reasons art is made. So getting into who an artist is. So thinking about an artist, uh, you know, they're sensitive to things. Flexibility, originality. Think about that and what it says there. Problem solve creativity. I want to create my own Mona Lisa. How do I create a new Mona Lisa? How do I create a new original artwork that is me and not just a carbon copy? Uh, how will I have my version of Mona Lisa different from Leonardo's? So how do I play around with this idea and to generate all these different ideas? I want to make fun of Mona Lisa and pick on her, but what are all the different ways I could pick on and make fun of the Mona Lisa? Oh, she has a bad hair day. Oh, she is not really a she. Maybe we get into transgender, all this crazy different ideas that you could play around with the idea of Mona Lisa. Um, and the ability to have the fluency, the free flow of ideas, to keep these ideas going, and so you're not just this one-trick pony. So that's sort of some of the things going on through the artist's head at the time. And so, who are artists? Who gets to say that they are an artist? So this is where we get into the professional artist versus the folk artist or outsider artist, or sometimes referred to as the self-trained artist. So Tom Friedman, he is, you could, for argument's sake, say, he's a classically trained artist. He went through art school, he got his degrees, he has all this academic background, all this knowledge up inside his head, therefore he is an artist. Opposite, unfortunately, I don't have a picture of Mr. Wilkerson, but I do have a picture of his work. So getting into the outsider or folk art. So Roosevelt Wilkerson, he, as the story kind of goes, he had all intentions of possibly going to art school and doing. He always kind of liked art. He liked, sort of doing things and making things, and doing stuff with his hands. But somewhere along the way, everything in his life just took a bad turn. Basically, he ended up homeless. And to sort of create some revenue to get some money so that he could go buy food and stuff. The things he always made sure to purchase, a nice, good knife, as well as his food. And the things he would do, he would go down to the Trinity River bottom and pick through and find sticks that were, a good walking stick. I'm sure some of you are into hiking and camping and all that stuff. A good walking stick. So what's a good stick that's you can use for walking. So though what he would get a bunch of these, take them back to his little cardboard box under a bridge, basically. I know it sounds kind of mean, but that was sort of the reality of it. He'd scrape all the bark and stuff, get down to the the raw part of the stick, and he would carve the Ten Commandments into them. So you already have this sort of dual content with them. You have this, religious piece, the Ten Commandments, a walking stick, Moses, so those, familiar with the whole Exodus story, Moses having the walking stick and all of that, receiving the Ten Commandments. So he would carve that in there. And the other thing he would do, he'd go around and he would try to collect all the different pens that he could. Crack the pens open, squeeze the ink out, smear the ink all over the piece of wood, so it gets down into the as you can see here, the letters or the little decorative detail, the ink's getting down there, wiping it off so it just stays down in the little grooves he carved. And so he's creating these, folk art, outsider art. He has no artist training. So looking at the picture on the right, we have then, President Bush, and there he is with Pope Benedict. And so really, as the story goes, when he was Governor Bush, he always presents himself as a good Christian. Save that could be a whole other debate for a different class. We're not getting into that one. But anytime someone came in to visit Texas when he was the governor, he found out about these walking sticks, saying, I'm a good Christian. This is kind of a cool little folk art piece. So he would, how do I acquire these? So he was able, he started purchasing the walking sticks from Mr. Wilkerson. So fast forward, then he becomes President Bush. And whenever some foreign dignitary, other leader, whoever came to the United States, or he went somewhere else in the world, it's tradition for them to exchange gifts. So he would give these walking sticks. And so here in this picture, we have President Bush. So, he was the president when there was the new Pope that was elected into the papal office. So the new incoming Pope would receive a gift from the leader of a country with a Catholic following. So a man who was homeless has two pieces in the Vatican collection. A man who had no academic training or anything, but he still had that desire, and it was his passion. Like I said, he always made sure to have a good knife with him to scrape the bark and carve the letters and the little designs. And breaking the pens and making sure that there was a way to add color to them. So he has two pieces. That's like the ultimate scoreboarding on almost anyone. For me to get a piece in the Vatican, I'd probably have to, sneak in there and leave it and hope they wouldn't destroy it because they fear it might be a bomb or something that could, would kill the Pope or do harm. So yeah, he has two pieces in the Vatican collection and no type of background. So should people like him be dismissed? So then getting into art and the audience, who was art made for? So the Verrocchio, the David, basically it was a private commission for a family chapel. Then the Buddha's Men fights a jar to a draw. That was an illustration that would have been in the kind of like the Royal Library. It's one of the manuscripts that the court members would have uh, access to. So your audience is getting a little bit bigger. Then Monet, I'm sure some of you have probably heard of Monet before. You know, his audience for him was like anyone and everyone, anyone who loves painting. You know, during the late 19th century with the rise of the Impressionists. You know, anyone that loves the Impressionist work and they want to come look at our show or at the galleries that showed Impressionism, they would have access. They would be able to see his piece. So it was like this gigantic audience. So then that brings us to the Hampton. So that's the curveball piece. So very intricate, like little metalworked pieces. You know, all this intricate detail. Worked on it for like 14 years there. No one knew that he even did that. You know, after Hampton's death, they're going through like this storage unit and found all of this artwork. All of this, you know, insane artwork that he made. You know, no one had any idea that he was doing this stuff. Like, so there was like no audience for this. You know, created all this stuff just out of passion and desire. And you know, what do artists do? Why did they do what they do? So art's created for any number of reasons. Create a place for human purpose. Buildings, always easy. Create an extraordinary version of ordinary objects. Claus Oldenburg with his pieces, you know, the gigantic like pencils and erasers and things like that. All of a sudden, it's like, then you know, same thing with Tara Donovan and toothpicks. It's like just makes you see something in a whole new light, something in this new and different way. Record and commemorate. Art and rulers, art and religion in a way. You know, that same could be tangible form to the unknown. Same time, the unknown could be, you know, tangible forms to your feelings and ideas. You know, how do you really express your emotions? How do you really get your emotions out? You know, how does that come out? And, you know, and just see the world in a whole new way. You know, the way that Monet saw the world. Going back to him for a little bit, you know, one of the things that Monet did was he quit using black. This whole thing that black does not occur naturally. You know, the natural way that we perceive and see light is this way. The shadows are actually all these other layers of colors. It's not black. You don't just mix black with a little bit of blue to create this darker shadow. No, you add in all these other colors and you build up and you know, all these layers and things like that. So it's just this different way to see things. So that's kind of a brief introduction to the class. I know getting a little philosophical, but when we start having our discussions, so that's when it all kind of comes out when we talk things out. So that's it for this lecture.